When the United States Marine Corps, when the United States of America asked me to go to Iraq to serve my country, I did it. I did what they asked me to do it, and I did it honorably, and I'm very proud of that service. When Tim Walz was asked by his country to go to Iraq, you know what he did? He dropped out of the Army and allowed his unit to go without him, a fact that he's been criticized for aggressively by a lot of the people that he served with. I think it's shameful.
So J.D. Vance has been doing the rounds, doing interviews at all of the major news stations and networks. And if you ask me, to be honest, I don't think this is really helping Trump. If anything, it's working against Trump and J.D. Vance, because these aren't good faith interviews. He's really walking into hostile territory, and the sole purpose of them doing these interviews is just to rip J.D. Vance apart in any way, shape, or form, hit him with all of these hardball questions, and try to make him look as bad as possible in front of their audiences. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the fact that he is willing to walk into the lion's den, because he knows good and well when he goes to sit down at these interviews that these people are not for him. They're not for Trump. The mainstream media is against them every step of the way. And he knows that just like we know that. So I respect that he's doing these interviews, and I also believe that people who are running for president or vice president, I believe they should all be sitting down to do these interviews. But Kamala Harris is not. They are doing the exact opposite. You see Trump and J.D. Vance, they're talking to anyone and everyone, doing every single interview and event they can. Meanwhile, Kamala marches out. She does her little events where she reads from the same script, the same exact speech every time, and then she disappears into the basement, just like Joe Biden, hiding from the media, because what she says can and will be used against her, just like J.D. Vance and Trump. So the media is trying to catch J.D. Vance and Trump slipping any way they can. They're trying to use little snippets of what they're saying against them. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is not even giving them the chance to do this, even though they wouldn't do this to her anyway. At least most of the networks, most of the news, most of the media, they wouldn't do it. She's not giving anyone a chance, right? So I don't know if these interviews are really necessary at this point, because if anything, they're just working against you, and your political opponent is not even doing interviews. But as they were pressing J.D. Vance, he pushed back. And I found what was said very interesting. Not necessarily just what was said by J.D. Vance, but what was said by one of the reporters at CNN. I want you to take a listen. Let me know if you notice what she said in the comments. And then, of course, after this clip, I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people about Joe Biden's middle facility for the office. You are interviewing me, Dana, because I respect the American people enough to sit down for an interview.
I appreciate that.
Kamala Harris has been the nominee for 3 weeks. She hasn't sat down for a real interview.
Believe me, we are asking. You're not going to get a disagreement there.
So as you hear, she kind of slips up. She kind of slips up and says, yeah, we've been trying. So they have been trying to interview Kamala. So Kamala is refusing to do interviews with CNN of all places. Let that sink in. Realize how bad that is. Because CNN, MSNBC, they're like the #1 allies of the leftist Democrat establishment. They would give Kamala the most softball questions you could imagine. It would be nothing like these interviews that we're seeing with Trump and J.D. Vance. It would be nothing like it. Okay? But even CNN, Kamala's not even willing to do an interview with CNN. That just lets you know how bad off she is. It lets you know how incompetent she is. It lets you know that even her own campaign, even the Democrats, they have no faith in this woman at all. And if you ask me, this is kind of sexist. This is actually bigoted. Because here we have a woman who may be the first woman president of the United States, yet y'all are pretending like she's not competent enough to do interviews like all of the other men who have ran for president before her. But because she's a woman, you think, oh, we can't interview her? I don't know. I think this is a bad look. Unfortunately, though, people like me and you, we see this as a bad look, but the people who are hyped up about Kamala, they don't give a damn because they're not going to watch the interview anyway. They don't care. You think they really care about anything? No, it's one big party, to them. But yeah, if I was one of these reporters, even if I was someone who was against Trump and J.D. Vance, I would feel bad. I would have a moral dilemma within myself, sitting down, cross-examining, interrogating J.D. Vance, knowing that I haven't asked Kamala a single question. You know what I mean? Like, I believe as a journalist, you should have a set of morals or integrity. But of course, there's none there. But damn, how do you really just feel okay with having this energy for one person and not the same energy for the other? That's not real journalism. Your bias is constantly showing, and that's why your ratings are constantly dropping, and that's why no one has trust in the media, and the very people that you're protecting and propping up, they're dodging interviews with you as well. So at the end of the day, it's like CNN has to rely on Trump and J.D. Vance now for ratings. They have to rely on them for content because they can't talk to Kamala. Kamala's not willing to talk. But I bet you one thing. That reporter, she got a mouthful after this. After she slipped up and said that and let it be known that they're trying, she may lose her job. She better be careful. She's going to get a call from Obama. She's going to get a call from the Democrats after this because she took it a little too far there. She kind of let the truth slip out. But for right now, I want you all to let the truth slip out down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell. And if you find yourself getting too worked up by all of this, remember, it's just political cinema.